The Sierra Cosworth. What an absolute beast of a car. It really is the flagship, in my opinion, of Ford's motorsport heritage, coming from the Mark I and the Mark II, and turning the corner and adding a turbo. The Sierra Cosworth, for me, holds a lot more memories than just motorsport. It holds a very special place in my heart. I had my first Cosworth, I guess, 21 years ago. I was 20, and it was an absolute animal of a car at the time. Even in that time, in the 90s and early 00s, it was the most stolen car. People used to use it for joyriding, it was used for robbing places, it was just the go-to hooligan's car. They were taken, they were trashed, they were crashed, they've rotted, and few have survived. And the ones that have survived are now in high demand. The car itself, I guess for me, just every time I hear it, I smell it, I see it, I sit in it, it just turns the clock back for me to a time in my life, I guess, where things seemed a little easier. And that emotional connection to this car, still to this day, is second to none. 18 years, 17, 18 years roughly, since I've sat behind the wheel and actually driven one of these properly. And it's nostalgic to say the least. The smells, the feels, the noise, even when the car is taking over. And I remember when I started this car first, and I hadn't started one or heard one properly in all those years. It almost brought a lump to my throat because it just opened the floodgates for what was, pretty cool memories. Like, I got one of these, and the engine went in it, and I guess you could say I cut my teeth mechanically with Fords, because prior to owning the Sierra Cosworth, I had 2 RS turbos, and if you own a Ford, you're going to be stuck under the bonnet of one of them. So I built an engine. I built an engine for my one, and we had it up just short of 400 horsepower, which was astronomical back in 2001. And this one isn't 400 horsepower. And I knew when I got into this that with it not being 400 horsepower and with it being, relatively standard, was it going to be a letdown for me? And was I going to do you know what? This isn't that great. But when I asked myself the question, is it that great after driving it? The answer is absolutely. A lot of the roads that I've taken this car through its paces today are roads that I would have frequented a lot with my own car. A lot of these roads are actually close by to the very first place I ever lived when I moved out of home. It's surreal to go back around these roads again in a Cosworth with all the smells and the noises and all those things, just to almost a trip down memory lane. And it really is something special. $1988, to be, having one of these parked outside your house would have been a pretty big statement. And what I mean by that is not just to have a Sierra parked outside your house, but to have a rally car parked outside your house, which it is. It's a road-going rally car. It's a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing. I remember the one I had quad lamps in the front. So two round lights either side. I had Escort Cosworth wheels on it. It was dropped to the ground. There was a lower splitter on it. It was very, very different to how this one sits.
But the beauty about this one is it's exactly how it came out of the factory. You know, even these clear indicators, you know, they did come with those. So as you see it is how it would have been when it came out of the factory. And I guess the thing is, back in 1988, having one of these and having that engine in it, there was nobody that would be able to come close to it in a four-door saloon car.
So driving this on the road today, when we're so used to quietness in the car, we're so used to hearing a pin drop, what's it like to take something that at this point is, whatever it is, 33 years old, and put it on the road? Well, it's this one, especially this one, is so comfortable. It's got its standard wheels, it's got its standard 15-inch latest wheel. This one has actually got Coney adjustable suspension, but it's not set hard, or it's not, you know, it doesn't have lowering springs. It's on its standard suspension, or standard ride height rather, with Coney adjustables, and it's super comfortable.
Here we have it, as it was first day, except for the air filter, and that's my doing. I put that on it recently, but it did have its airbox there, and this is exactly what you would have been looking at back in 1988 when you bought it. Garrett T3 turbo, standard. Intercooler on top here. A lot of these that got heavily modified had what's known as an RS500 intercooler. It was able to cool a lot more of the charge air. It had 8 injectors, and only 4 of them were wired up. This obviously doesn't have 8 injectors, but the plenum that was used for the RS500 would have looked exactly like this, but it would have had 4 more injectors on the outside that when you bought one from the dealership, they just weren't plugged in, and the car wasn't even mapped to run on them. But they knew they had to build a car with these in them to have them as a production car. I get so many memories when I look into this engine bay and I see it and I look at different parts, and literally everything that the eye can see I've had off at some point, or something's broken, or I've changed it or whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy, the memories that it jogs.
Could the handling be improved? It could be, but should it be improved is a question I would ask. Why would you try to modernize something now that you want to appreciate the way it was made? And that's the difference between me driving this now than me 20 years ago driving one of these. That I prefer driving the original version now than if I could take everything out and put in all updated suspension and different ride heights and harder this and all the rest of it, because this is how it was supposed to be. As we head off into the sunset, literally, and the day is coming to an end, what a day it's been. I've met an old friend and it's been amazing. And, you know, the one thing I can say is that do you know what? So many people have said to me, would you buy another one, having now driven this one? And do you know what? The answer is no. Because sometimes things are better left in the past and you cherish the memories from it. And it's nice to have this trip down memory lane today, but the memories are much more important. So I think we'll leave it there, and we'll leave it in memory lane.